Welcome to the show, Lemonade with the Seth Brothers. It is your host, Kunal, with Lemons with me. When life throws you lemons, what do? You make lemonade. In the show today, we're going to be talking a lot about mindset, specifically about first generation mindset. On the show today, we have three guests coming on. We have Raj coming, we have Ed, Super Ed, and we have Elizabeth. All these three resources on the team today are super rock stars, but they have common threads in them. They're all realtors, but they also are thriving in America because of the first generation mindset. Now, if you want to be successful in life, the only way to being successful is by having first generation mindset. First generation mindset is about striving for excellence every day, waking up every morning hungry, and never allowing anything or anyone to stand between you and your financial goals. Personally, for me, I came to America about 20 years back, and I'm a first generation American. Now, most people, when they hear about first generation mindset or first generational person, automatically think about, well, you're talking about being an immigrant in America. But first generation mindset applies to you if you are the first person in your family who started a business, or first person in your family who went from small town to living in a big town, or first one in family who went to college. As an example, in America, when kids go to college, especially undergrad, you've heard of that. They take not 4, sometimes 5 years or 6 years to finish the undergrad. For a few years, they don't even know what they want to major in. The same kids, if they peel the layers back and find out who in their family was the first one to go to college, and they provided for their education on their own and did not depend upon Uncle Sam's funding or daddy's money, guess what they did? They graduated in 4 years and they would know exactly what to major in. But as you go down in generations, you lose the values that are instilled in you by your parents, grandparents, who came before. So the objective today is to reactivate your first generation mindset, no matter what you do for a living. And once that's activated, you become unstoppable. Another example I'll give you is, in the last 24 months, we all have been dealing with COVID-19. Now, people who are born, raised in America, who have the opportunity of getting unemployment benefits, for them, not being employed is an option because potentially they could be making more money getting unemployment benefits. But talk to someone who's first generational in America, who has just come to America, is probably on a student visa or work visa. For them, relying on unemployment benefits or a check from the government is not an option. So it's where lemons thrown at these people, how are they making lemonade? But in the end, it all is about mindset. The first guest we're going to bring on today is Ed, Super Ed. And his story is interesting, how he first came to America when he was a young kid, only 7 years old. The lemons thrown at him. But the first generation mindset he had is truly what makes him successful. We're going to take a 60-second break. When you come back, you're going to hear from Super Ed how first generation mindset is making him successful in America today.
6 days a week, 12-hour shift.
You can always do something right, even if it's going wrong.
Is this what you want to do, or is there something else you would like to do?
Get a mentor. We live a life of abundance.
Welcome back to the show, Lemonade with the Seth Brothers. Is your host Kunal with my first guest tonight, Eduardo, Super Ed in the house.
Hello everyone, Super Ed here.
Super Ed, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, yourself?
You gonna squeeze some lemons tonight?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. So Ed, I met you for the first time about 2 years back. It was a Friday afternoon. I was sitting in the office on a Friday doing a whole lot of nothing. And here comes Super Ed, all dressed up, suited, booted, and says, I'm looking for the Seth brothers office. I said, well, this is it. Well, I'm looking for one of the Seth brothers. I said, this guy's too smartly dressed. I got to first ask him, why the hell are you looking for the Seth brothers? And he said, well, I'm in the business. I'm considering getting my realtor license. I'm looking to joining a real estate team. I said, all right, you came to the right spot. Let's talk. That was about 2 years back in 2019, November, December timeframe. And that was first interaction with Super Ed. At that time, he wasn't even called Super Ed. He was just Eduardo.
Was Eduardo Alain Vallejo Jimenez.
Eduardo. And then within about 5 months, came around Super Ed. Super Ed, before you talk about your lemons and how you came to America, talk about how you became from Eduardo to Super Ed.
So I came from Eduardo to Super Ed. It was during the COVID shutdown in March. I remember I was doing builder rounds when I was a BDM, business development manager. So builder relations. And it was shut down. I couldn't do anything. And I was looking at my name, like, okay, my name's nice. But a lot of people here couldn't pronounce it. Eduardo, they just exaggerate. I'm like, you know what, just call me Ed. Like, okay, Ed. It wasn't me, though. I didn't feel like, okay, that's not me. And then someone had made a comment that I was all over town. They're like, you're like Superman. You're everywhere. Right there, light bulb. I was like, Super Ed. I called Kunal. I'm like, Kunal, I have an idea. I have to run it through him. This guy's a genius. Right? So I'm like, well, if Kunal likes it, it should work. So I called Kunal. I'm like, hey, man, I want to be Super Ed. What do you think? And he paused for a little bit. I was like, oh. And I was like, wait, was this a bad idea? But he went on board. He liked it. And then I became Super Ed. And now, I mean, I'm glad that everyone kind of knows me by that.
We love it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Super Ed is, no matter whether you are a self-employed person or someone who works in a corporate job, no matter what you do, building your own brand is critical, right? So, for example, for us, I mean, people, I don't care if they know my name or not, but our brand is the Seth Brothers brand. If you know that brand, I don't care if you know my first name or Sonet's first name or not. Same thing with you. There are lots of Eduardos, but when you create a brand for yourself, like a Super Ed, it's super powerful.
The only Super Ed, okay?
That's what I'm talking about. So Super Ed, lemons thrown at you, your first generation mindset. You came to America when you were 7 years old, and you do not speak a lick of English. And you came with your 3 brothers. You are the oldest?
So it's 3 of us total. I'm the middle child.
You're the middle child?
Yeah.
Wow. The forgotten one.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The one who gets nothing.
I just got beat up all the
The
time.
oldest one gets everything. The youngest one gets away around, and you just Bichara Bichka.
Yeah, they're like, hey,
You know what Bichara Bichka means?
No clue.
Oh, that means you're the best, man.
Bichara Bis.
Bechara means Bechara means someone who is Bechara, man.
Bichara, man.
Bechara.
Bichara.
Poor kid.
Okay, no clue what that
So, so you were the Bechara Bichka
That was
who
me.
came to America with your parents, and your parents, your family was financially very successful in Mexico.
Yeah, we were middle class.
Yep.
Upper.
And middle class is great class because that's you're not scraping for it. You were successful. Your family was, but your daddy said, you know what? If I want to make a career and a future for my kids, I'm gonna sacrifice. And 5 years came to America. You lived in 1-bedroom apartment, and you lived there for many years. Your dad would work night shifts, and he would sleep during the day. When you were new in school, you loved soccer.
Yep.
And on your soccer team as a kid in 7-year-old, when you were in 2nd grade, you were the only brown kid on the soccer team. And all the other kids, mostly Caucasian, they would gang up against you.
Yeah.
And not just not let you play, but beat you down. And then one day Super Ed said, hey, I'm going to be Super Ed, and you have superpowers, and you punch one kid back.
Punch the biggest one there.
And they never came back. So walk us through your journey, Super Ed, from coming to America as a young kid, no English speaking skills, but you had a passion to play soccer.
Yeah.
But you saw your dad and mom, working hard every day. And that's where you came and said, you know what, I'm going to make the best of my life. So walk us through your journey, Super Ed.
Yeah, so we moved to Harlingen, Texas, which is down south in the valley, 956. My 956 people. From Monterrey.
And no one knows 956, man.
No,
what are you talking about? This is Daisyland, Houston, man.
Someone who knows. Anyway, South Texas. That's practically Mexico, if you don't know.
All right.
So we moved because my dad was working at a company that kind of pulled out, and we didn't know where to go. And we came to the United States. We had an uncle that lived in Harlingen. So we ended up in the little apartment that was attached to that house. It was a 1-bedroom. All 5 of us were there. Hector, my older brother, Mauri, my younger brother, Mauricio, and my mom and dad. And we were there for a while. My parents were working. And, when you're a kid, you don't realize that how money works. Like I didn't understand that we went from middle class in Mexico, which is pretty good for in Mexico, to my parents working 2 jobs each here and there, to not being able to buy like new shoes per se in the beginning because it was tough. Right? There wasn't the money there. Like I said, in soccer, I saw the things that I wasn't used to. I was just a normal kid in Mexico. In Harlingen, there's a lot of Hispanics, but the team I ended up with was all Caucasian. They were all big. I was always a little kid. I was super short, and they would pick on me every practice. But I went because I love soccer. And my dad, being my dad, a Mexican, he goes, just punch the biggest one, and they're not going to bother you ever again. So I went back, and I just, boom, the biggest one, I punched them, and they never bothered me again, right?
But that's where, Ed, at a young age, you learn to stand up for yourself.
Absolutely.
Had you joined a Hispanic soccer team or a soccer team that had primarily Spanish-speaking people or Mexicans, you would have been comfortable.
Absolutely.
But you were made uncomfortable at a young age, and your dad, rightfully so said, go beat up the biggest kid on the block, and then they left you alone.
Yeah.
Walk us through what happened after that, Super Ed.
So after that, even at that age, like something clicked. Like you said, it just changed the way I was. Because I was never this outgoing, like how you guys know me, like super funny, laughing everywhere. I was actually pretty shy. I wasn't confident. I always had like self-confidence issues where I always saw everyone that was better than me because of my height. And then being a little brown
Are you
kid.
telling me I'm short? You're taller than me, man. Like, what are you talking about?
I grew.
You're tall, man. I'm tall too.
I had a growth spurt in my junior year in high school.
Got
I used
it.
to be like 4 feet.
All right.
The rest of my life I was 4 feet.
All right.
What was I saying?
You were saying you were the tallest kid in a Mexican gang.
No.
Super Ed, you're talking about you punched the biggest kid,
Yes.
left you alone.
Sorry. So that changed my mindset, even that young, like you said, stand up for yourself. And then I'll go back to the story when I was in kindergarten. My first teacher, and I'm not saying negative about Caucasian. She was Caucasian, and she was mean to me. I only knew 3 words in English: yes, no, and apple. So they actually called me Apple for like my first year.
Teacher as well?
Yeah, she called me Apple.
Wow.
Because I could only see it. They'd be like, "What's your name?" I would say, "Apple." That's the only word I knew. So I was like, whatever. But she was really mean to me.
Okay.
I remember this. It stayed in my head forever.
Okay.
They were telling me to grab scissors and cut the paper in English. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
And she kept telling me, and I kept looking around like, what does that mean? So she grabbed the scissors, she threw them into the trash, and then she started yelling, and I don't know what was happening. So I just cried and left to the restroom, right? So they found out, my mom found out, called the principal, and she was like, hey, well, you should put your kid in ESL, which is English Second Language classes. My mom refused. She goes, no, I want him in the English classes because he's going to learn English. And I went through that year with that mean teacher, but I learned English like this. I picked it up right away. That first year, first grade, second grade, I knew English perfect. Second grade, I actually had the record in Austin Elementary in Harlingen for the most books read by a student.
Wow.
There. So
Wow.
I think, again, I was put into that scenario where I wasn't comfortable by my mom. She said, no, they're going to go to regular English school. And then I learned how to read.
What I'll tell you, Super Ed, is, there are a lot of cultural similarity between Southeast Asian culture, the Indian, Pakistani culture, and the Mexican culture. And we value family time. We value, relationships, partnerships. When kids get older in America, 19, 20, they're expected to move out of the home. Whereas in Mexico or in Pakistan or India, we can live with our parents as long as we want to. Also, when parents get older, they can live with their kids, unlike how it's in America. A lot of cultural similarities, but also in our culture, Super Ed, if you're being bullied, we are told, oh, it's okay, back off. It's okay, don't do a whole lot. But then what you were trained by your dad, what you were trained by your mom, to stand up who you were, and you shared. The next year, you were the kid who read the most number of books because he said, I'm not going to get bullied by my language skills or by color of my skin, or I'm not that tall. Super amazing. So what happened next, Super Ed?
So then fast forward, right? Now I know English. I'm an American boy.
You're first generation American, though.
First generation American.
Yeah?
Yeah, so did all of my young years in Harlingen until I was 18 in high school. And then I got a scholarship to play soccer at Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio. Again, my parents didn't have money to pay for college. I had to figure out a way to do that. I didn't really have money, so I did tryouts. I sent emails to all these different schools. One gave me a shot, and I got a scholarship to play. And again, that first generation mindset was, I'm going to figure out myself, because my parents did not come to this country for me not to be great, right? They left everything. They didn't know the language to give us a shot. So I had to take it, and that's what I did.
The
And
sacrifice made by your parents to give up good lifestyle, middle income, and come to America, be scraping, living in one bedroom apartment, 5 people, 3 young kids. You said, you know what, if I need to go to college, which you wanted to go, I'm going to find a way in.
Yeah.
And you had a passion for soccer. You said you wrote to all the universities in the market and said, hey, here are my skills. Give me a tryout. Give me a tryout. And then University in San Antonio
Yes.
actually got you into the program based on your scholarship.
Yeah.
And you essentially provided for your own education. Did you live on campus? How was the
Yeah,
lifestyle?
so I lived on campus. So this is how it was. We did what's called 3-a-days for
Okay.
soccer. In the morning, we did like 2-mile runs and sprints until you threw up. So if you ever do college soccer, it's horrible, but it's great. And then I would go to class. And then for lunch, we ate like a sandwich. And then we trained, weight room. And then we went to class. And then we went, at the end, we played like tactical scrimmage soccer. And then the normal kids just went to the dorms and started studying. I went to work. I was working in college while I did all that, right? So again, providing for food. Like my friends would be like, "Hey, let's go out to eat today." Like, I'm not hungry, or I don't want to go. So I didn't have the money to go spend and buy Wendy's or McDonald's. I just went home and ate the little soups, right? So I didn't have the money to be spending because I was working for it. It hurt me to spend it. When for them, they had a fund from their parents. We're like, "Oh, hey, let's go out." They're like, "Hey, how come you don't want to go out to the club?" I'm like, "That's not my thing."
I'm going to fast forward to today, and we'll plug the gap in between. But today, Super Ed drives a Tesla.
Yeah.
Do you think Super Ed could have thought about buying his own car, let alone buying a Tesla in 2021? No. But the resilience that you had from day one, that I'm going to do whatever it takes to not take money from my parents, work hard, soccer, all those things, is what makes you successful.
Yeah.
Right? I also understand you're the first generation person in your family who's taken the risk of being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, because your dad worked as a blue-collar person in factories. He would work every day,
Yeah.
provide for the family. And you did the same thing. You graduated, you got a job. You went to Build a World first. Where did you go first, Super Ed?
So I was in sales.
In sales, okay?
So I studied television broadcasting, but I actually never went towards that. I always was in sales. I worked at Cons Home Plus. I sold mobile homes, and then I ended at KB Home. That's how I got into the new home business, and that's when I saw I want to sell houses. The goal was always to be a realtor, but I knew that I had to get my foot in first. So that's why I got into KB Home with the Builder World.
So you were the Builder World, and you were in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And then here came a shooting star, love you for your life, popped out of nowhere like a mermaid from the swimming pool.
Yeah, she had an aura and everything. It was amazing.
It's a factual story. You guys were hanging out by the pool,
Yes.
having some good times, and here came Fatima,
Yes.
came out of the pool, and it was love at first sight. How many years back was that?
That was 3 years.
3 years ago?
3 years since
That
I
was
changed.
Fatima, and then she was in San Antonio working. She got a job transfer to Houston, and she works for an oil and gas company, Schlumberger. And she said, honey, I'm moving to Houston.
And I said, no, we are moving to Houston.
Exactly. You moved to Houston without an opportunity, without a job. But when you moved, you transferred with the same builder that you were working in San Antonio, got a job with them. And you worked with them for about 6 months, 10 months,
Yeah.
in that range. But you were not happy. You were not content. You said, you know what? I moved from Mexico to U.S. and from here to Houston. Houston is where you have opportunities.
Absolutely.
And that's when you walked into our office.
Yes,
in
so-
November, December 2019.
Actually, the day that I walked into your office, I had just quit that job. So again, I quit, and I said, here I go. And I went to different offices. I was headed on another one, but I saw your sign, the Seth Brothers team, and I saw that flyer before. So I just had a chance, I decided to drive in. And that's when I walked up, and then Kunal said he had 15 minutes. We talked for about 2 hours, and then now I'm here. So
We call in
it's
our
good.
culture, Super Ed, we call them karma,
Yeah.
or your fate, right? We were meant to meet at that time. You were meant to pass on the freeway, meant to see our sign, take a U-turn, come on in, talk to me, talk to us, and get engaged. A super exciting story. Now that you're successful and you're self-employed, what values would you want to pass down to your next generation, Super Ed?
So to the next generation, I would say I would have to teach them how to think like I do, where you have to wake up and you have to get it every single day because it might be taken away, and not take it for granted because I still have family in Mexico. I see what happens in Mexico. It's a great country. The government's not the best, so there's not the
Hey, this is being
opportunities.
recorded.
Oh my god.
You'll get deported.
No, it's great. It's amazing. Cancun's amazing. Go check it out. But I mean, the opportunities here. When I see someone like I can't get a job, I'm like, it's there. Especially in a city like this in Houston.
Yes.
I mean, I came from Harlingen, where I lived when I was a kid. Super tiny little town, and then you come to Houston, you see everything buzzing. There's jobs for everyone. So I don't take it for granted. I want to pass on to my generation that even if I can give them something, they have to work on their own to get what they want.
I think instilling the right values of not taking advantage of the system, but finding opportunities that you can be self-reliant
Yeah.
and successful. That's what it pays off. And you're relatively young. You have a long way to go. But challenges faced by you and Fatima and your parents and your brothers, all of those have made who you're at today.
Yeah.
Super amazing, Super Ed. Now, if someone wants to reach out to you and ride in your Tesla car, fly around town, maybe get a deal or two, tell us what makes you special when people call you to buy a home or do a transaction with you, Super Ed.
So there's 60-something thousand realtors. Anyone can sell you a home, right? But it's the way you do it, the knowledge that you get, the support that I have in the Seth brothers, and everyone there. Now, the other thing is I'm kind of fun, right? Because buying a house can be stressful. I make it less stressful. I'm fun. I'm outgoing. I'll work hard. I'm young. I'm not lazy or I'm not tired. I'm going to go up the stairs and show you the house. So if you work with me, you're going to get a great experience, which, I mean, I really believe in that, and that's why I'm Super Ed.
Super Ed, if someone wants to call you, what's your number, Super Ed?
It's a 956.
It's not your, whatever you said, 6532
It's
number.
956. It's the same number since I was 18 years old from Harlingen. 956-778-9443. I'll say it again. 956-778-9443.
Super Ed, it was amazing having you on the show. Lemonade with the Seth brothers. You shared with us lemons thrown at you even when you were young, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, moved to America. The kids who beat you up, who teased you. Your teacher who called you an apple because you could say only 3 words. Yes, no, and apple.
Yep.
And I can imagine being a young kid in first grade, second grade, being teased and, being bullied by people. But you stood up. You stood up to the bullies on the field, soccer field. You stood up to the kids in your class. And next year, you had read the most number of books.
Mm-hmm.
And today, you freaking drive a Tesla. That's what I'm talking about.
What I do.
Super Ed, Super Ed Inspiration Story. Your phone number, one more time, Super Ed.
956-778-9443.
Guys, follow Super Ed on Facebook. This is Lemonade with the Seth brothers. When we come back, we're going to be bringing on the next guest for the next episode of Lemonade with the Seth brothers.